You are welcome, Mr. Fatai Sani. We sincerely welcome you to this program, and we are so excited to have you here today. So, as we all believe that this session is the most important session in doing this program, and we all know that this session is the main reason why we are here, the career session. So, and we want everyone to actually participate in this session so that we can all gain something valuable. So before we welcome Mr. Sani on board, let me quickly introduce him proper. So today we are going to be talking about career paths and growth opportunities in data analytics. So Mr. Sani is a VP Data Advocacy at Reliance Infosystem. So as we all know the ground rule, punctuality, have an open mind, one class, participation, respect. Your mic is muted always. Raise your hand before you speak and ask questions. So Mr. Fatai is a data strategist, Vice President Data Advocacy at Reliance Infosystems. So he's a certified Microsoft trainer, Microsoft certified data analyst, a VP Data Advocacy. He has 8 years experience helping businesses leverage data to make better decisions. He's a consultant on analytics and data-driven strategy to several organizations. He's also a mentor, a coach, and thought leaders within the data ecosystem. So, Mr. Fatai, we sincerely welcome you to this program, and we are so excited to have you here as you be dishing from your well of knowledge. We so appreciate you, sir. So, as we all know the agenda for today, you have the areas in data, industry specialization, becoming an analyst, roadmap and growth opportunities. Then we also have a question and answer. So, Mr. Fatai, over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Especially if you're in Nigeria. I trust you can all hear me. I'm going to be sharing my screen in just a moment. So just give me one moment. Let me share my screen. Please, if you can hear me and you can see me, can you please give a thumbs up? Just let me know that we are in sync. Okay, all right. Thank you for that. So I'm just going to proceed to share my screen. Okay, looks like I can't present in Teams, so I'm just going to share my full screen. Okay, sharing that right now. So thank you very much, moderator, for giving a lowdown of what we're talking about today. We're talking about career paths and also growth opportunities in data analytics. I want to believe that our program so far, we've been introduced to different aspects and facets of building a career in analytics, right? And today we're now going to be talking about what are some of those parts that we can specialize on and how do we grow, all right, and build a successful career as a data analyst. And that's what I'm going to be talking about. I'm also going to be sharing what are some of the insights, right, or some of those things that I wish I knew when I was starting my career as well, and how do we learn from this journey. My presentation is just going to be about 20 to 30 minutes, and I'm going to leave the floor for the audience on the call to ask as many questions as we can, all right, because it promises I want this to be quite interactive. Okay, so it would be nice if we get to ask a lot of questions, and I get to share some knowledge with you. Okay. Of course, the ground rules has been laid. I'm not going to repeat it. I've been a data analyst for about 14 years now. I started my career in 2014 after school, of course, when I was just basically working for a small firm as an operations executive, and I was using Excel a lot to build to help the company analyze the company's data. All right. I started work for a small fashion brand where we're selling fashion items on Jumia, on Konga at that time. And the company was a startup, so it was new. And I was coming on board fresh out of school with no idea and of course, no idea of what I was doing, and I needed to help the business. And now in my journey, some of the things I've learned is that companies are basically in business for three things. All right. They're in business to maximize their revenue. All right. Or to minimize their cost. Okay. So as an analyst, as someone who is going to be helping a company, there are three things that you need to focus on. How can I help a company maximize their revenue? Or how can I help the company minimize their cost? Or how can I help the company optimize the process? All right. If these three are focused, or if are focal to what we're doing or what you're doing as a data analyst, you're going to pretty much have a very successful career. Okay, so right now I happen to be the vice president data advocacy at an IT company, which is Reliance Info System, and my day-to-day involves not just helping my company, but helping other companies, businesses, to set up their data strategy, all right, from ground up, and also for them to innovate with data, and also to adopt data on a day-to-day basis and infuse that into their operations. And that's what I currently do right now. So what are we going to be talking about today? We're going to be talking about different careers in data. We're going to be talking about industry specializations. How do you become an analyst, sort of like a roadmap, okay? And also we look at roadmap and growth opportunities. Then we leave the floor for questions and answers, okay? Who is a data analyst? I want my talk today to be as much focused as possible to career. So I'm not going to get into the foundation of defining what a data analyst is, what they do, what are the types of analytics, and so on and so forth, because I believe that will have been communicated. We would have that conversation in one of our sessions. So today I'm just going to be focusing on what we're talking about, who is an analyst, and then go straight to what are some of those career paths in analytics. All right. So a data analyst simply is someone that turns data to insights, and these insights to business decisions. All right. What do I mean? As a data analyst, you're going to be facing or interfacing with data on a regular basis. All right. And your job, your core, is going to be about turning raw data into insights, extracting valuable insight from data, and helping your business turn this insight into business decisions. All right, that's basically what I like to see data analyst does in summary. Of course, it's much more than this. We can get into the technicalities of defining what they do and so on and so forth. But this is just like a very simple catchphrase that I want us to look at today. Now, let's explore what are some of the different career paths in data, right? Remember that the data analyst is not a singular entity within the data ecosystem. Most times, there is that collaboration, that synergy between all other subject matter experts within the industry to get your analytics, your analysis, right, to fruition. And let's start from there and just basically discuss these things. Now, so the first career we're going to talk about today in the broad data ecosystem. So how I'm looking at this is that we'll first talk about the broad data ecosystem, then we'll narrow it down to career paths in data analytics. So the first thing I'm going to start from to talk about is a data engineer. All right, who is a data engineer? So think of it like this. Data is not the data that data analysts use does not just exist out of the box. It doesn't just magically appear, right? There are systems and infrastructure that all of this data is built upon. If you've worked in an organization before, or so let me start like this. If you're a data analyst or just started training or learning, most of the data you're going to be using would either be from sample data that you downloaded online, and mostly are in Excel files or CSV files, as the case may be. In a real world scenario in an organization, this data don't just appear like that. Most companies have systems in place, all right, to first off collect data from all their line of business application. What do I mean line of business application? Let's look at a bank, for example. If you happen to be a data analyst in a bank, all right, banks or organizations collect data from everywhere, all right? So you walking into a bank to perform a transaction, your data is collected. The transaction you perform, what type of transaction it is, who is the beneficiary, who is the sender, the receiver, how much is the amount, is it a complaint, what kind of complaint is it, did you happen to see the customer service, and so on. That data is collected for walk-in customers. Then you step out of the bank and use an ATM machine. That transaction is also recorded as data point, another data point, all right? There are, of course, applications that allows you to collect this data, from the ATM that is tied to your account, your BVN, your NIN, and so on and so forth. Then you get home and then you use your application, your banking app to do a transfer for someone, all right? That is another data point, all right? You're transferring money from your banking app. Now, look at this simple one transaction that you alone perform across three using three different contact points to the bank. Now look at the millions and millions of other customers that are doing the same thing, and all of this transaction must, of course, what's it called, must be unified. What do I mean by that? You're not going to withdraw money in a bank. Let's say you have a million naira in your account and you withdraw 100,000 from the counter. Immediately you are stepping out to the ATM machine. You are not still going to see that 1 million naira in your account. It's going to be 900,000. When you open your banking app, that is also the same amount that is going to reflect, which means that there has to be systems in place, first of all, to harmonize all of the transaction across all of these transaction points, all right? Collect all of this data, integrate all of these data, store them into a single unified data point, all right? Your complaints also is logged also in your account as well. That's why if you've called a bank to complain about anything before, they can tell you the history of your complaints, what the complaint is about, what the resolution is, and so on and so forth. So which means that who is responsible for the whole architecture end-to-end of how data flows from all of these contact points into a single unified platform, and manage all of that system and that architecture, and also develops it, construct it, test it, maintains it, and manage that data infrastructure. It happens to be the data engineer, all right? So the data engineer collects the data, cleans the data, stores the data, makes it available, and of course, manage the infrastructure that data sits on. And that is the data that a typical data analyst or a data scientist will use, all right? So data engineer, their role is to develop, to construct, to test, and maintain data architecture, such that it starts from as simple as a database to something even much more complex, like a data warehouse, a data lake, and also some other big data systems. That this data engineer is an all-purpose everyman, so which means that there are some tools and skills that is expected from this person. What are the languages that the data engineer uses? You have SQL, R, MATLAB, sometimes SAS, SPSS, Python. They have very great knowledge in terms of skills of talents, of databases, of data modeling, ETL tools, and they work with a lot of APIs. All right, and they also have very good knowledge of data warehousing solutions. Let's move to a data scientist. What's a data scientist, and what do they do? Now, a data scientist cleans, manages, organizes big data, and also build machine learning models, or build models to extract value from more complex data, or extract insights for more complex data and also build predictive or models and algorithms to predict future outcomes. All right. Remember, I told you the data engineer makes data and infrastructure available. The data scientist sort of like what build predictive or extract data from not just structured data, which I don't want to get into. From a data analyst perspective, data analysts mostly deal with structured and to some extent semi-structured data. The data scientists work with structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data, and of course works with big and massive amounts of data. All right. What are the languages that data scientists uses or use? So we have R, we have Python, you have MATLAB, SQL, Hive, they use Spark, Hadoop, and so on and so forth. Some of these big data systems. Data scientists have skills around predictive modeling, storytelling, and visualization. They have a lot of maths and stats skills, and also machine learning skills as well. Okay, now let's get to the data analyst. All right, the data analyst, the cool name for them can be data detective. All right, these are the people that torture the data to find patterns. All right, they torture the data to find patterns and to extract insights, all right, from data. So a data analyst collects, processes, and performs some statistical analysis on data to extract insights and also help make business decisions. The data analyst has what we call a figure it out mindset. All right, they see data and they're able to spot patterns, analyze trends, and also predict outcomes. All right, what are the languages that a data analyst typically uses? We're talking about R, we're talking about Python, SQL, because you're going to be interfacing with a lot of database. You're talking about DAX to some extent. And then what are the skills and talents that is required? Spreadsheets, all right, Excel and the likes. You're talking about database systems, SQL or NoSQL in some cases. Communication and visualization is very key for a data analyst, because the outcome of your analysis is not going to be consumed by you. It's going to be consumed by business stakeholders. And how do you communicate with stakeholders? You do this by using visualization tools, right? That's where dashboarding and a lot of visualization comes in for as a data analyst. To some extent, data analysts also do have some basic knowledge of maths and stats and very minutely machine learning. Not really, we can disregard machine learning for in this aspect. Now, there are some other roles that people evolved in from a data analyst mindset and evolve into some other roles. And some of them are business analyst. These are other roles in data, all right? So as a business analyst, your job is going to be very much focused on evaluating business processes and anticipating requirements, uncovering area of improvement, and also developing and implementing solutions. All right. So a business analyst basically have serve as a link between the technical or the technical analyst and also the business stakeholders. All right. So a business analyst understands the technical requirements of, to some extent, of a data analyst, and also understand business and the business language. And in most cases, they sit between these two teams, all right, in order to make data projects more successful. If you give me one moment, please.
In case you have any questions, kindly make use of the message section.
Okay, apologies, I'm back. Now, we also have a database administrator. Okay, a database administrator primarily plans and installs and configures and also design, migrates, they monitor performance and handle security and troubleshoot, as well as backup databases. So look at taking the example of the bank scenario I mentioned the other time, all the structured data that exists within the banking infrastructure in databases, especially, you have the database administrator handle all of that. But one thing that we have to know is that database administrators now, that role is gradually or has gradually evolved to become more of a data engineering role. Before now, but organization just used to have a database and someone that just sits and manage the database, all right? But that role gradually has evolved into a core data engineering role, which means that organizations don't just deal with structured data now, all right? They deal with semi-structured, they deal with unstructured data, and they even deal with some cloud platforms. So, and that's one thing that is going to be a rhetoric throughout this conversation and in your career as a data professional, is that roles are gradually evolving, and you also have to evolve and learn as we move ahead. That it cannot stay in one spot, all right? Because that would mean doing a lot of disservice to your career. I'm going to touch on machine learning engineer and analytics engineer in a bit. So, and the machine learning engineer also is also roles that evolved from core data scientists. 5-6 years ago, you only get people say they are data scientists and have like a lot of some knowledge of all of these principles. Now we have machine learning engineers that are core into focusing on researching, building, and designing self-running artificial intelligence systems to automate predictive models. So they basically focus on the machine learning and also the engineering and machine operations of core machine learning models. And you have analytics engineer, which is just a bridge between what an analyst does and what an engineering or an engineer does, right? So they have the best of both worlds, all right? Because in some cases, there are some organizations that they are not big enough to have a data engineer on board, all right? At the same time, they want that person that has that Swiss knife that can handle both data integration, data ingestion, data cleaning to some extent, and also be able to analyze and visualize and also communicate findings based on data. So machine learning or analytics engineer is that person that just sits right in between, that have this knowledge of both worlds and is able to apply it on projects. Okay, so now I've talked about the broad engineering skills. Let's now look at some focus, all right, into analytics. And how do you, when you call yourself a data analyst, how do you narrow down that career? Can you also have some specializations, and what are some of the key ways that organizations have or individuals have applied some industry focus in their career as a data analyst? And this is why I have this slide. I said, if you are a data analyst and you apply that to some domain knowledge, what you have is a specialist, a subject matter expert in a particular industry. And I've seen people, professionals grow in like this, all right, where they pick a particular industry and then they focus on, because they have a domain knowledge. So if you're a data analyst and you want to you have a niche and actually conquer an industry, what you may be looking at is getting domain knowledge in that industry. Let me give you another example. Let's say you are a healthcare professional. You have your either you studied medicine or you study any of those health courses, and you're transitioning, or you've transitioned, or you're looking to transition from healthcare to analytics. What I always advise is, don't just dump all you know to say, oh, you want to pursue coding or analytics and the likes. You are going to make a lot of influence, all right, and add a lot of value if you're able to combine data analytics principles in your healthcare domain, all right? And in that case, you're going to become what we call a healthcare analyst, all right? Or you're going to play in healthcare analytics, all right? So these are some specializations that I've called out for data analysts that are looking to grow in depth and specialize in a particular industry. And this is something that a lot. So although it's very, very fine to be a data analyst that without any specialization, right? You're just because for a data analyst, one of the core advantages is that You can work anywhere. All right, you can work across multiple sectors, across multiple industries, within an organization, or even across multiple organizations. All right, but a lot of value, and you're able to grow faster in a particular industry, especially if you have a lot of domain knowledge in that particular industry. You're going to be sought after. You're going to be a subject matter expert if you can combine your analytics skills with a particular domain knowledge. All right, so you are an accountant, you have an accounting background, for example, and you also want to learn analytics, or you've learned data analytics. How best would it be if you now double click into becoming a financial analyst? That way you have all the financial knowledge, you have all the breakdown of a finance professional. Like, for example, as a data analyst, for example, if I'm building a solution for a finance team, all right, most of those concepts, they're talking about EBITDA, they're talking about depreciation, amortization, and all of those things. I will have to first go study what all of those things mean, or research what they mean, before I'm able to build a solution or a project, all right, for the finance field. All right, but if you that have an accounting background, for example, you already know what EBITDA means, you already know what ROI mean, you already know what year-on-year growth means, and all of those other finance terms, simple interest, compound interest, complicated interest, as the case may be. So it's easy for you, all right, to make a living and add a lot of value in the finance space as a financial analyst. All right, and that's why having a domain knowledge and combining domain expertise with data analytics skills is very, very good, especially if you're just starting out and you have some background, or you're trying to break into data analytics from a background that you already have. Another one is operations analytics. All right, so you have a lot of knowledge about operations, or you learn data analytics and you want to apply it in a particular industry, and you want to focus your strength in that particular domain. All right, you're going to be a subject matter expert, and you're going to be revered more with this. All right, I think I called operation analyst twice, so don't mind me. Healthcare analytics. All right, this is also, especially in the West, this is a field that has been gaining a lot of traction and a lot of demand. And the reason is very simple. The core analytics principles that a lot of people know, to a lot of extent, may not be directly applied to the field of healthcare. Okay, for someone to be an healthcare analyst, you need to have some base understanding, all right, of healthcare, all right, for you to be able to win, all right, in this industry. And that's why it's going to be add a lot of value if, for example, you are a healthcare professional that is trying to get into analytics, and you're able to combine your domain knowledge, your domain expertise with the analytics skills that you have, all right, to perform healthcare analytics. All right, I don't know if I'm making sense. Let me give you a very simple example. During COVID, a lot of us built dashboards to look into COVID, the spread, how it's going to spread, what are the daily rates, and so on and so forth. What are some of the areas that are mostly affected? We have those dashboards, those maps. I think I built one as well, right? So a lot of us, that's coming from a general data analytics mindset. Now, I saw a project that someone did where this person now predicted which country is going to be affected most, all right, or is going to have a lot of infections or a lot of deaths covered, and so on and so forth, based on historical data. All right, so this person picked the data of that's been collected and predicted that, oh, maybe this state or this country is going to have more cases than usual because the trend has been upward in a particular something. Now, healthcare professionals came on that post because this person shared it online on social media and told him that that is not how viral disease spread. Viral disease defies the general logic of maybe a regression analysis, you trying to predict based on past experience, because this person tried to do a predictive analytics without having the domain knowledge of how viruses spread. and how infectious diseases, how it spreads. All right, a town today might have 1,500 cases already. All right, and they are maybe taking measures to curtail it, maybe using all of those social distancing principles and so on and so forth. While you have a community that just have two, and in a month or two, you can have that community that has two or that have two cases, they blow to 10 million because they have not taken the necessary precautions and they have not observed all the social distancing measures and so on and so forth. And then you see that that community that was at 1.5 already starts to depreciate, because if you look at it from a general data analytics standpoint, a country that is already at 1,500 and a company that's already at a country that's already at 2, you would think that this one will be growing faster than this other one, and you will see that in most cases that is not right. When COVID started, I think China was leading by a large percentage in the first 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and immediately after that, if you look at the trend and if you look at the map, you see that they were able to curtail that spread and that growth, and some other countries, which I'm not going to mention, picked up from where they left off and grew way rapidly than even China. And I think as at the last chart that I looked at, China was not even the leading the country that is most affected when it comes to because even though they have over 1 billion population and it started from there, you would expect that, oh, it's going to spread a lot more in this country and this community than other community, but you find out that is not true. So now, what am I trying to draw out is that just having data analytics experience does not mean you are now a subject matter expert in an industry that you don't know. All right, so that's where domain expertise comes in. Okay, another area is also sports analytics. I don't know if some of us we've started seeing some AI embedded. If you've watched maybe Premier League, La Liga, if you're a football fan, all right, you started seeing some analytics being thrown into that. How someone wants to take a penalty and you find it being analyzed that this person plays 90% of his penalties to the bottom right or to the center or to the top right. This person misses 85% of penalties he takes on his right foot versus on the left foot, and so on and so forth, or predict what areas of the pitch people are going to play more of, and so on and so forth. All right. There's people that know a couple of sport analysts today that are making a very, very huge killing. Forgive me for using the word in this area, because they're able to adequately, they love sports, and then they have analytics background, and they've been able to apply that, their analytics knowledge and their domain expertise. HR analytics is also something that is also very, very big. All right. If you're an HR professional, or you're starting out in HR and you have analytics, the goal is not to leave. So I think what I'm preaching in all of this is the goal is not to leave what you're currently doing to say, oh, you just want to pursue analytics. Look for how can I specialize in my industry and be a subject matter expert in this industry as well. So you're able to combine the best of both worlds. Okay, moving on. Now, what are the steps to becoming a data analyst? All right. Number one, you have to understand the role of a data analyst. What do a data analyst do? You have to research what data analytics is, the type of problem they solve, the tools they use, and so on and so forth. You have to learn the essential skills. All right. Learning the essential skills mean understanding what data manipulation tools, the programming languages, the data visualization tools, statistics, what it's all about. Okay. And then moving on, it's about trying to gain hands-on experience. So you've understood what data analytics is, all right? You've learned the essential skills, whether you've gone to a boot camp or you've read a book or you've watched some videos or you've learned online or you've purchased a course, all right? That's the second phase of learning essential skills. The third one after learning these skills is gaining hands-on experience. And this comes from building projects, all right? Building valuable projects that can give you that out of the classroom experience in analytics. All right. And also this experience also comes from interning. All right. Doing internship or maybe getting entry-level roles and sort of like getting that sort of hands-on experience, or freelancing. All right. A lot of people today, after their maybe boot camp or data analytics course, they're looking to gain experience, I always advise people, one of the core things you can do is look for businesses, small businesses around you that are collecting data, and look for how to help them. Okay. I'm just going to give 2 examples in this case of how people can get experience, because I see that a lot of people on the call may fall in this category. All right. You have learned the data analysis, you've gone through a course, you've gone through a boot camp. All right. But you are in between that finishing a course and getting that your first job. Or I just look at, you're not really, where should you really start from and what should you do? Okay. And that's where building as many projects as you can, this is where it comes in. For example, you have supermarkets, you have stores around you, all right, that at least maybe have a POS system, or they are collecting some data, all right. They need this data analysis. They need to know what are some of their best selling products, what are people buying together. Do you know what it means for you to be able to do product recommendation? That, okay, so people that buy, maybe people that usually buy toiletries or whatever, also buy more, or maybe groceries, for example. I'm just giving you or you have products that go hand in hand together. Oh, people that buy hand sanitizers will most likely also buy maybe tissue paper or what have you. That way, these stores can know what product to put together in a single aisle. All right. Imagine you know the knowledge of you have the knowledge of every person that bought, or most people that bought this product also bought this product, and you're able to stock more on this other product and put them together in a very strategic position in your supermarket that more people are going to buy. That's very valuable. If you build a project like that, it gives you not just experience, you're able to help a business, and you can talk about it in your next interview of how you solved a very, very critical problem for a company. So if you are looking for that first break, you're looking to get that experience, don't just sit around waiting for it. All right. Sample data online is good. Getting data from Cargo, from Zindi, and all of these other data platform is good. All right. But if you want to also look for real businesses around you that have data that you can help, all right, and that you can add to your portfolio as well. Let me give you another example. I went to a dentist maybe about a year ago. All right, I had to do a tooth extraction, and one of the things that I was told at that point is that, oh, I'm supposed to come every, I think about 3 months or 6 months or thereabouts for maybe checkup, cleaning, and so on and so forth. After that, and in that right there and there, I knew that I wasn't going to come back, because I mean, it's not in people's nature, especially as Africans, to do maybe checkup and all of those. We usually go to the hospital when things are I mean, out of control, in quotes. All right. Now, I looked at the way this hospital was collecting data. A lot of it was in physical documents. All right. And in flash file that I was storing on shelf. And in my mind, I thought that, what if I could build a project for this company where they're able to extract data from all of these things, maybe appointment dates and so on. And so maybe it can even be a simple Excel file, or it can be a simple Power Apps. It doesn't have to be anything big, where they're able to store data to say, okay, Fatai Sani had an appointment today to the extra. He's supposed to come back in 3 months, all right? And they put my current date here and maybe what my next appointment date is going to be, okay? Now, in 3 months, let's say they write a formula in Excel, or if it's Power Apps, they build a simple automation to say, after 3 months, either I want to extract the data manually and send a text message to Mr. Fatai to say, sir, you are 1 week away from your next appointment. When are you looking to come in, or something? Or this is automated, whereby you put it into a Power Apps flow or a Power Automate flow that sends out messages maybe every 3 months to people that have appointments to come in for the next appointment they have. All right. Now, the current method I never went back to the hospital. I have to be sincere. I'm sorry. Right. But imagine if I got a text message after 3 months to say, I'm due for my next appointment to this hospital. What do you think that would do? Even if you send that kind of message to 100 people, at least you're going to get 30 or 40 that are going to subconsciously or consciously come back into your hospital. That means that you've gained some extra 40% business, all right, versus you just leaving it to chance to say, oh, someone is going to come back, but they never eventually did, all right. Those are simple problems you can solve for businesses around you that is going to make a lot of difference for them, and it's also going to give you a lot of experience. Okay, now let's move on. You've built your project. What's the next thing? Build a strong portfolio. All right, so building some of these different projects, maybe around data cleaning, around analysis, around dashboard, around insights, and also with real world data. You can host this project either on GitHub, or you host it on your personal website, or you put it on any other open tool or solution and let people view the project that you have come up with. And this can be very, very valuable in getting your first job. Okay, what's the next thing after your portfolio? After you've done your bootcamp, you built your project for portfolio, the next thing is you have to get certified if you can. All right, there are a lot of certifications today that you can look into that gives you an edge in the industry. All right, there are certificates around the Power BI, Microsoft certified Power BI data analysis associate. I have that. There are Google certification. There are also some other SQL and Python certifications you can take, or Power BI or Tableau certifications as well. This sort of gives you an edge over other job seekers or over other industry professionals. All right. The next thing I would say is in becoming a data analyst is to network and join community. Like, for example, this community you have is one of a very vibrant community, because you're able to share with like-minded. You understand what are some of the industry trends, what are people talking about in this industry. You make friends, you connect, you talk about real things. You also share job updates and so on and so forth. A lot of jobs, and I have to be sincere with you and talk about it at this point. I work for a company where in the last 1 year or in the last 6 months, in my team alone, we've added no less than 10 or 15 new individuals to the team. And across the organization, I would say maybe 100, all right? And none of these jobs were advertised. What does that tell you, right? It does not, people say, okay, connection is good, but it's not like connection of, I know the MD or I know the CTO and so on and so forth. Is that when we want to reach out, recently we wanted to get some data scientists on the team. What did I do? I reached out to other big industry guys that I know to say, oh, do you know any of maybe mentee or people that you know that are very good, I mean, in data science that we can employ, right? Can you recommend some CVs to me? And the reason why organizations do that is simple. If you put out a job, you get 500, 600 applications. The HR is going to spend the entire week going through applications, or even if they have an ATS. But I mean, the bottom line is they spend so much time trying to screen through and streamline applications, rather than me just reaching out to someone to say, give me 3 to 4 solid candidates that we can interview and maybe just employ 1 or 2. All right. So now that's why you have to attach yourself. You have to build a strong network. You have to join a vibrant community, because a lot of opportunities, you are not even going to see it on the job portal, all right? Or you're not going to see it on those job platforms. I've gotten so many opportunities where people refer me to, people look at what you have done and they just say, oh, I saw this opportunity. Do you want to apply for it? Or there's this opportunity that's open in my company. Do you want to apply for it? And so on and so forth, right? So joining communities is very, very important, all right? And finally, you want to apply for data analyst roles and also continue to learn and develop as you go. Do I have time to take this? Let me see. I think we can, let me break now. Let's take 1 or 2 questions. Let me take this slide and then we'll take questions, all right? Now, what are some of these growth opportunities that I see in data? All right, I talked about specializing in advanced roles or industry-specific roles. This can be very, very valuable to your career. Okay. Also, in data analytics, you can, if you have a lot of administrative leadership or management skills, you can very, very well move up the ladder as quick as possible from just a data analyst, all right, to a management consultant or to someone that have a leadership role. Like for someone like me, to share my story, I started as a data analyst, all right, and I grew through the ranks. And right now I'm leading a team all right, I've evolved from just a traditional data analyst to doing more of data strategy, all right, and helping organizations sort of like incubate and form and build an effective strategy around data, all right. That's a growth pattern that I see in data. Because in the next few years, there are going to be more data leaders. You can be a chief data officer, you can be a data lead and something. So you also have to have a lot of soft skills, all right? Because data analytics is not just the hard skills of analyzing Python, pandas, Power BI, and so on. You also have to have some people skills, some soft skills, communication, teamwork, all right, leadership skills, and so on and so forth. Because all of this come into place. You have to have insight. You have to be able to know problem solving, analytical mindset, all right, seeing something and looking at it to say, okay, this is a path that we can take, all right, for us to solve this particular problem. All of those things come together to help to prepare you for that leadership and that management opportunity, all right. In, of course, it's not a junior level, is as you approach mid-level or senior level that you get to get into some of these roles. But it's good when you start building those things from the ground up, because it gives you an edge over all your other counterparts. Soft skills are very important. Let me quickly just say that here. It goes beyond your hard skills. Trust me, if you as someone, you are the best data scientist or the best data analyst, you can build all the algorithm, extract all the data. But when it comes to convincing stakeholders to take a particular action, all right, you fumble, you cannot speak, you don't have that confidence, you don't have that ability to do that. You're going to really be affected by this. That's why you need to learn a lot of communication and soft skills. In my current role today, my day-to-day involves convincing CTOs, chief technology officers or chief data officers of banks and multinationals to adopt a particular technology. It goes beyond just knowing the tool and the software for them to do that. It also comes from understanding their industry, understanding their pain points, talking to them about valuable use cases and things that can help them if they adopt a particular technology or if they adopt a particular system in their data management principles. And all of those things, you don't learn it in Power BI or in Python. You learn it from taking other managerial courses or understanding managerial subjects and so on and so forth. There's also data strategy and consulting, which is where I play currently. I consult for companies, I consult for individuals that are looking to manage their data. Also, there are growth opportunities in data research and academia. You can decide to go the academic line and just focus on doing research and so on and so forth in the academic line as well. Also, growth opportunities for people that want to easily get in is around cloud and big data. Before, data used to be very much on-premise. Now you see a lot of companies are moving to the cloud and they're embracing big data as much as possible. Big data just mean the 5 V's or the 7 V's or the 3 V's as people would like to call it. You're talking about data that's coming in a lot of volume, with a lot of velocity. There are variety of data and so on and so forth. All right. So you need to start getting familiar with a lot of these technologies. AI is also something revolutionary and it's going to open more doors. A lot of people say AI will take jobs, but it's also going to open a lot of jobs, especially in the data field. And it only takes you to get ready to learn about the industry, and focus on, understand the industry trends and how things are shaping for you to position yourself strategically for the next big thing. All right. Some other growth opportunities are in automation and AI development. I think I don't need to talk about that much. For those of us that even have entrepreneurial and startup skills, all right, you can form a data startup, an AI startup. There are a lot of AI startups that are springing up from everywhere here around the world today. Position yourself strategically for those things also can help you. Those are also growth patterns and opportunities that you can take as data analysts and as data professionals. I have more to talk about, but I think I've overshot my slides, so I'm just going to stop here and leave room for questions. So moderator, please let's take questions. I'm sorry if I took more time going through this slide.
Thank you, sir. We really appreciate everything that you said. And I must confess, you are a pro. So if you have any question, please kindly type on the message section. Type on the message section, please.
Okay, so thank you, sir, for this amazing session. So we have some people that have raised up their hand. So I'm going to give them the floor now to ask the question directly to you. So Victory, I'm going to unmute you now so you can ask question directly. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, you can.
Thank you very much for that section. I have been learning data analytics for a while now. I have project, I have portfolio, and all that. And I got a Microsoft Power BI certification. I don't have a data role yet, and all my life I've been teaching. Yeah, I know. I do research. I know about research, writing projects, and all those kind of things, raising questionnaires, and administering questionnaires, and analyzing the questionnaires, and all that. Then, when it comes to my CV, I was trying to, because they were advised that okay, put the roles that you know like data related. So I've been working in an organization now as a teacher for over about 6 years. So from time to time, I give text, I record students' call, I enter the students' call, upload it on our platform for students to check results. And of course, and then sometimes I have to retrieve student data from there. So I enter part of that related to data on my CV. And then, of course, my research skills. Yeah, by the grace of God, I know research. I could do research and all that. So I entered all those things into my CV. So my question is, yeah, but does it really seem like, because it not makes me look like I have a lot of experience in data, which for me in quote not really, because I don't have a data role, but I did something that is related to data. So that's my question. Is it okay to read the CV like that or something?
Okay, I think your question is clear. I'll say yes, and this is my reason for saying that. Your CV, everyone will tell you that your CV should be tailored to the job role that you're applying for. All right. It doesn't mean you have to lie and you have to say, oh, you have a lot of experience. What that is basically telling you, well, saying in your CV is that you are spotlighting some aspects of your job that are tailored to the roles that you're applying for. So I'm a teacher, for example. I teach students, all right? At the end of the day of every day, I collect their data, I enter it into maybe a software or a system, I analyze maybe patterns, or once in a while, I retrieve records and I build visualizations and so on and so forth. Now, if I'm writing my CV, I'm going to say, of course, I'm a teacher, but I'm going to spotlight the aspects of the data skills that I have in that role, because that is what is tailored to the job I'm applying for. I'm not going to go on that CV and start saying I teach students, I I I teach students, I mark attendance and so on and so forth. That is not tailored to my current role. It is not lying, all right? You're just positioning yourself for the job. As long as what you're saying is truthful, you can defend it and you can speak to it, all right? I will say that you should really structure your CV that way, okay? When I started as well, I told you I was an operation assistant, all right, or an operations executive. I was doing a lot of things. I was in a fashion, like I said, I worked with a fashion startup. We're selling clothes. Basically, I say, okay, fashion. We're selling clothes on Jumia and Kunga and maybe on our website, all right. And what I was doing, I was the one packing the orders. I was the one attending to the orders that came on all of those platforms. I'll put it in an Excel sheet, all right? If there's a product or a photo shoot and all of those things, I was the one that organized, I'll get the models and so on. But one aspect of the job that I'm also doing, I also kept the inventory records of the inventory that comes in and goes out. I kept record of the items you sent to all of these platforms, the Jumia, the Kongas, and what we sold on our website. If there was a return, I keep it. So I keep an inventory sheet, all right, and also a sales record. I analyze and give feedback to the manager every month to say, these are the products that are top selling, these are the ones that are selling the least, these are what people are buying together, these are our this and these are our that. Now, when I wanted to leave the job and move to another job, I was already convinced I wanted to be a data analyst, all right? The data part of my job was what I spotlighted in my CV, because the job I was applying for was a data analyst. I'm not going to say, go in that CV and start saying, I organize photo shoots for models that are going to wear the products we're selling. That is not tailored to the job. I wanted to apply for a data analyst job because I knew that after my first job out of school, I wanted to become a data analyst. And I actually did some data analytics in my current job, but those were the things I spotlighted when I was applying for my next job. So it's perfectly fine to structure your CV that way. Yeah. Moderator, can we take the next question?
Thank you, sir. So we have Mr. Abdul Wahid here. Please, you can mute your mic now. Mr. Abdul Wahid.
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon. Oh, it's evening already. Sorry, we've been in the class since afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Sunny. Please confirm you can hear me very well.
We can hear you.
Okay, all right. So thank you once again. So I think for me, I really don't like too much theory. I like being practical. I'm a dropout student from a data analyst role. In fact, sometimes 2 years ago, I say I got wild with a presenter somewhere, and I sent him a mail directly, and he added me to his academy where he was taking. As in, I would say that was the best ever experience. I was paying $100 every month when Naira was still at maybe like less than 400. To cut the story short, pressure, economy, I had to back out of that course after 6 months. It was when I came to Mr. Ahmed's mentorship class that I got to know that, in fact, from his own roadmap, he talked about learning the skill, building a project. I didn't even know that all the assignments I've been doing all this while was a project. We had data set, we had some capstone projects, worked on R, worked on Tableau and the likes. But something you just have to break somewhere, not to just say, oh, don't let people keep pushing me like that. So I just said, from that day that I had to back out after that program, anywhere I see anything data analytics, I am going to jump into it and dive into it. I have a 6 school foundation on data analytics, but just to cut that story short, my own concern now is, can you share your own roadmap? Is it the same thing with Mr. Adewale Yusuf? We talked about learning the skill, building projects, portfolio, building resume, and the likes. Because my other speaker who's talked about building resume, I already got that info from someone who says maybe this is just a room to share with all the people here. If you are building your CV or resume, make sure um, keywords of the skill you have and what you do are embedded in that CV. So if anybody is saying, "Oh, I do this, I do that," you can have it there. So I just want you to just share your own roadmap to be a data analyst. I'm already getting challenged that you're already saying some data analyst role are traditional data analysts. So I'm now looking at what will be the high level for those data analyst role. If the one we are should I say, trying to get is now traditional. But I just want to get back on board as soon as possible. For me personally, we all know that data analysis is all about what you can do, just like our facilitator said in the class earlier. It's about what you can do. So for me, I still even throw it to some senior colleagues to bring anything that has to do with data. Just bring it on to me. Freelance. I'll do it and we'll get ourselves better. So I just want you to share your own roadmap. If it's the same with that of Mr. Adewale Yusuf, fine.
Okay.
If it adds some tricks, thank you.
Okay, it's very clear. I think I already spoke to it or by this slide. That's why I went to this slide. I have a more granular one, which I didn't want to get into because of my time, but maybe I can gloss over it. So, like I said, I'm a newbie. I want to get into data. The first thing is I have to do my own research. I have to be convinced that is this a role that is for me? Do I want to get into this, and so on and so forth. You see, these essential skills. This can, of course, there's a lot of things that goes into this. All right. This is where I talked about, oh, you want to now, after you're convinced that this is what you want to do. In your own case, you went through a boot camp or a mentorship class where you learned all the foundations and all the rudiments of data analytics. And you stopped here. You stopped at stage 2. You understood that you said you were wowed by, so I'm going to use your story. You were wowed by what that person said. That's the first stage 1. And you tried to do your own research and understood that, oh, this is a path you wanted to follow. You jumped to step 2, which was to learn the essential skills, and then you stopped here. Now, what you could have done, or what you're now trying to do now, is trying to gain that out some experience and build portfolio. All right, trying to get the knowledge and consolidate the knowledge. All right. So let me say that a lot of the people that are in data analytics today are people that have gone through one program or bootcamp or the other, but they are not sure of what is the next thing to do. Because you go through a class or a course, they teach you all of those things, but now how do you now move forward? How do you go forward with that information? All right. A lot of us faced it after we finish school. You go through a 5-year course, and then the next question is, and then what? What next? What do I do next? All right. And this is why Adewale put this kind of mentorship class together, for us to know you've gone through a course or a program or a project. What is the next thing to do? The next thing is building solid portfolio projects. All right. And it does 2 things. It gives you that experience, that knowledge, even though you may not, if you're currently working, fantastic. You can start applying the skills that you have learned in your course and start applying it in your day-to-day job. All right. That way you are learning on the job, and you're using the company's data, the company's problem, and you're solving it, and you're keeping it as your solution. The only caveat is that you cannot share your company's project in your portfolio. Please, if you are on this call and you built a project for your company and that project is on your portfolio, please go and remove it or adapt it in such a way that any of your company's copyright or proprietary information is not in that dashboard. If you do that, if you're caught, you can either get fired, you can even go to Yale, not the Yale of a university, the other Yale. I will not talk about it in full, but what I'm saying is that you can build projects in your organization. Maybe you anonymize data, you remove all of those things and you add it to your portfolio. Now, what's the next thing after all of this is you start actively looking for a job. All right. And this is where I talked about getting certified. You already have one certification, like you said. All right. Now, getting abreast with the latest technologies and industries. All right. That's where we talk about getting into joining communities and building a strong network. What some people do is we have a very vibrant community on Twitter. I don't know if a lot of us came from Twitter. What a lot of young professionals or data professionals do is that when they start building this project, there's something called open learning. You start posting about it on LinkedIn, on Twitter, that, oh, I built this project to solve, this is the problem, this is my approach, and this is how I solved it. This is the dashboard I built. Even though it's not perfect, you've put yourself out there. People can advise you, people can notice you, they can recommend how to make your project better, and so on and so forth. That way, when someone, I've recommended people for job from just seeing their post on Twitter about maybe a dashboard they've built or a project they solve, because it resonates with me that, okay, this person have that experience, and they can, if I'm looking for a junior data analyst, I can reach out to them to take on that role. Okay, learn and build in the open, share, be part of a community. All right, but being a part of a community does not mean you have to go and subscribe to one Eco Club or Lagos Club or something. This is also, this thing we are doing here is also a community. All of us are in a group. If you see an opportunity, if you know something, you are a trend, or you know people from this platform, that you can share and bounce ideas of, oh, should we go? There are some people that do 30 days of Python, 25 days of SQL, this. Let's 3 of us, 4 of us come together and say, let's solve this. There's this Danny something challenge on SQL. All right, let's do this 30 days. And every day as you're learning, you're sharing it online to say, I'm building this today. I learned this yesterday. I learned this today. What you get from that is you get that satisfaction that you're doing this, and you also get that commitment, and you also get that visibility. All right, there are people that have reached out to me from LinkedIn just from seeing my posts. Recruiters will come to your DM and say, oh, we see that you're a thought leader, or you're somebody that is I have an option, or sorry, I have a job open in my company. Do you want to apply for it? And that's just people just seeing what you do. My current job right now, I got it because the MD of the company reached out to me after he saw one of my posts, all right, on LinkedIn. And he said, oh, do I want to interview for a role? They have an open, they didn't even, let me bust your bubble. They didn't even have an open role. He just said that, do I want to, he likes what I do, and he wants me to be a part of his team. And they created a role for me. The role was non-existent, all right? So what that means is that sharing knowledge in the open and continuously learning and improving yourself, and also sharing, can do you a lot of good, all right? So building a portfolio, getting that certification, applying for a role, and continue to learn and develop yourself is that roadmap. It may not be as structured as the way Adewale is my boss. I have to confess. It may not be as structured as the way he's put his roadmap, but that is typically how I'd advise anyone that is starting to go. So if there's some conflict with what Adewale shared, please feel free to choose the best of, extract the best of both worlds, and also consolidate on that. Like I said, I also have a very rough roadmap of the hard skills now. So these are not the soft skills, the skills that at each level you need to learn if you're building your data analysis. So I'm not going to talk about, I'm just going to leave it on the screen. Maybe you want to take a screenshot, or you want to look at it. So that I see there are a lot of questions. So I'm just going to leave this on the screen and let other people ask their questions. Moderator, back to you.
Thank you very much, sir. Please, during in the chats, I've been answering some questions, but there is one that I said I must give it to my boss. So you mentioned about data strategy. So some of some of us want to know more about it. So thank you, sir.
Okay, what is data strategy and what does it entail? All right. For many organizations, they started their data team from how do you call it now? From for lack of a better word, it's like a concussion. They just started. After a while, we need to get a server, we need to get a database, we need to store our data here, we need to do this, we need to do that. There is no conscious plan, all right, of how the organization wants to architect. And sometimes they get to buy some tools or some solution that does certain things, and then they move like that as they go ahead. Right now, as a data strategist and working within a data strategy team of an IT consulting firm, what we do currently is to help organizations set a roadmap, all right, for their data team, all right, a roadmap of how do they want to collect data, how do they want to store data, how do they want to clean data, how do they want to analyze data, what tools should they invest in, the current data. If they want an organization want to do machine learning, for example, what is the type of data they currently have, right? Do they have data that is mature enough? If not, how do they build a roadmap, say in the next 3 years or 5 years, to build out data maturity and start using that data, all right, for their machine learning purposes, all right? That is what data strategy is about, helping companies build a roadmap, all right, to how data is being utilized in an organization. Now, there are some organizations that they have those data systems, they have the analytics, they have the visualization, but they don't have the data culture, okay? They don't have the data culture, and you would see it too in some of your companies. A data analyst says something, you say, okay, our sales is going down, blah, 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 blah. And after the meeting, everybody just goes on to do. How do you build a data culture in an organization such that everybody's data driven, from the front desk officer to the COO or the CEO? Everyone takes data and puts data into action, all right? So all of those works end to end, forming a roadmap for data culture and data literacy. People don't understand data, all right? And you want to build an organization where you want to use data for strategic decision making. That is not just the job of a data analyst and the job of the CEO alone. Everyone needs to imbibe that culture. They need to have basic data numeracy and data literacy skills. How do we help organizations build those training? We also talk about data governance. Data governance is very key today. Data governance, data privacy, all right? How are we looking into the lineage of data? What is the quality? So a very big example, a company, a financial institution wants to build a loan prediction model, or maybe they want to build a machine learning model to give loan to certain people, maybe based on their credit score and based on their history, right? So they get data, they train that data, and they push out that model, all right, to say, okay, we are predicting. So if you come in, if Adekunle Bello applies for a loan, that machine learning system can accept or reject that loan based on their transaction or based on the history of this particular customer. Now you notice after some time that this model has a lot of bias, all right? Maybe for some weird reason, this model is approving more loans for males than females, or this model is approving more loans for people on the island versus people on the mainland, because the model believes, because of the data that has been fed into it, that there's more money from people on the island. So it approves more loans for people on the island than people that stay on the mainland. Now, those are biases. And all of these things come because of the quality of the data that the machine learning model was trained on. How do we manage data quality, for example? So all of these things, a lot of things that goes into building an effective data team than just hiring a data analyst, a data engineer, and a data scientist and just start building projects. And you find that most enterprise organizations, most big organizations, they either consult this data strategy out. That's the likes of what the likes of maybe the Big Four, the PwCs, the Deloitte of this world do, where they help an organization build an end-to-end roadmap of how the data team and their data initiatives would be. What is the process around collecting data, storing data, the retention period of the data, and also deleting data? You want to build a solution for someone and they are putting in data from 1955 or 1998, and they're analyzing the data with the data in 2024. All of the data in 1955 should have been deleted, because you're going to introduce some level of bias into the system. That is outdated. The company no longer maybe reckons with that particular data. So putting that data in as part of your training model or as part of your data that you're analyzing is going to be bad. So how do you define what is a retention period for your data? What is how long should you keep a data to delete it before deleting it? How do you talk about data security, data privacy? How do you manage who has access to what data? How do you manage personal identifiable information? You are a bank, for example, their credit card information, their personal identifiable information. How do you manage who should have access to it versus who should not have access to it? All right. All of those things are things that you lay out in data strategy, and that is part of what I do. I have to be honest, it is not an entry-level role. So don't hear all these things and say, oh, I've not even started. Where do I start from? Worry about being a data analyst and doing a very good job at it. How you now specialize in future depends on the road, on your own roadmap and how you want to go. Everyone is not going to be a data advocate or a data strategy. I'm in this role today because I not only have analyst skills, but I've discovered other skills that I have that makes me evolve into this role. Those skills could be marketing. I have a lot of marketing skills. I can sell a solution for you today. And even if your organization does not have the budget, a data solution, by the way, even if your organization does not have a data, a budget for it, they're going to find a way to create that budget. Let me give you a very typical example. Microsoft Fabric just launched last year. All right. And I can very well say that my team has personally engaged no less than 50 companies, all right, across the whole of Africa, talking about the value proposition of what Microsoft Fabric can do for the organization, and also building proof of concept and POCs such that they are able to not eliminate all their data silos and be able to use one single solution, all right, to orchestrate all their data needs, from data integration to data analytics, to data warehousing, to data science, real-time analytics, and so on and so forth. All right. So that's part of what I do as a data strategist. Thank you.
Thank you
I hope
very
I'm not
much, sir.
confused us
Yeah.
more.
No, sir. So I'm learning already, sir. So, sir, I'm going to allow one more question for you, sir, and we round it up. So, I'm going to pick the person at the top. Thank you very much, sir. So, Adekunle Bello, please, you can ask your question now, and this will be the last question of the day.
It's all right. Thank you so much, Mr. Fatai and the moderator. Thank you so much. So I mean, my question is more of from the perspective of somebody that is confused, really. Um, I think one of the speaker asked one of the question, but then I just need an insight from somebody that have passed through this roadmap. I'm currently in the UK. I just finished my master's in business data analytics, but then during my master's that just ended last month, they taught us a lot of advanced tools like Python, OWL, and all of and Stata. We used almost four. I did about 4 projects in them, but then the problem is I'm coming from Nigeria. I'm a banker. I've worked in the insurance industry for 5 years. And so now I'm searching for internship because all of those programs were learned in the master's class were all complicated, which I was able to build project on them. But now going to this mentorship class, I've understood the part where you need to, focus on one and develop on more on a specific one, because most of the ones we learned, they were all like giving you the foundation of them, and then you expected to find your way around them. So my own confusion now is just about how to want even for instance, I like predictive analytics part. Now I've joined this mentorship. I've learned about Excel, even though I used Excel in the office before in Nigeria and all of that. So I just wanted to shed light on what you think I can do. Do you think, as I'm changing my CV to switch, to switch, probably not to erase my experience in Nigerian banking industry, and then should I also change my LinkedIn totally to something new, or because it's really a confusing part for me, and I really appreciate the insight on that, please. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you for your question. Um, I can totally understand where you're coming from. Please just give me a moment. I think my room is getting dark. Let me just add more lights here so that I can still see my face. One moment, please. Okay. I totally understand where you're coming from, and that's a rhetoric for um, a lot of, will I say, professionals that are in your shoes today. You have a wealth of experience in Nigeria already. You've moved to UK or US, and you've done a course in data. Now the next question is, what do I do next, and um, where do I go from here? And part of that question, I think you answered it already, is about what do you love doing and what do you enjoy doing, all right? And what do you um I'll still come to that. Which of these aspects of data do you want to focus on? All right. And that is what is going to lead you to how should you structure your CV and should you structure your LinkedIn. Now, of course, we know that when you're building a CV, sometimes you can structure it and put in keywords from the job description. But then again, that may get you to the stage of the interview. But at the interview, you are going to be grilled based on either project that you have done or based on the knowledge and skills you have. And this is where personal project comes in. You've built some project from school, fine, all right. But can you start looking to how do you apply this project to uh, uh, real world scenario or real world problems? You love more data analysis and visualization projects, or do you love more data science and predictive or machine learning projects? I have to be sincere with you though, right? That for entry level roles, I don't know the kind of roles you're applying for right now. For entry level and junior level roles, you will find out that you'll be able you can get more. It's easier to get more junior level data analyst roles, all right, than for you to get junior level machine learning or data science roles. Why do I say it? Because as a data analyst, if you're looking for a junior role or an entry level role, you're going to be working in a team. You have some foundational knowledge of maybe Excel, or maybe Power BI, you have some Python knowledge, and you have some SQL knowledge. Most companies give um, these individuals a chance to learn and grow while you're also building and learning in some other capacity. But for machine learning, you will find, and you can do a simple Google search to find out, for machine learning and for data science role, you find out that there are more mid-level to senior level roles. People prefer to hire those that have some experience in those roles prior to joining their company, because they are much more comfortable. Because in most cases, let me tell you the truth, when you hire a machine learning engineer or a data scientist, most companies they don't have maybe a chief data officer or maybe a senior machine learning engineer or data science that is going to guide and coach you. Most people that hire maybe machine learning engineers or data science, unless you're working in a company that have a core data team and a robot. Most times you find that as a data analyst, if you're hired, you may be working alone, or maybe you guys are just 2 or 3 in a team, and you're reporting to maybe the head of finance or the head of HR, who may not really know much about the tools, but they know more about the business. So if you give them something, they're able to interpret it to their own understanding. But for machine learning, they would want someone that knows what they are doing, because in most cases, there is not the person that is going to teach you and coach you and guide you, all right, is not there. All right, you don't hire a machine learning engineer and start teaching them and start guiding them through how to write Python, or how to write a for loop statement, or a case when statement, and so on and so forth. And that's why you find that there are more junior and there are more mid-level and senior level roles for machine learning and for data scientists, for data science, than for data analysts. So that's why I said it depends on what roles are you currently applying for. So let's backtrack. If you're applying for data analysts or data analytics roles, all right, this is where you now need to what's it called? Build projects. Again, it may sound mundane, it may sound pedestrian, all right, but those are, because when you get to your job interview, you're going to be asked about what have you done, what have you built, and you don't have, again, you don't have maybe UK experience that can give you that backing. And also in your job in Nigeria, you don't have that, when I say cognitive experience, of course you can adapt some things, one or two things, but you now need to introspect and look at, what can I do? Do I want to maybe intern? Do I want to freelance? All right. Do I want to work on maybe simple projects here and there that can add to my portfolio, and not just my academic projects? All right, because most times when people add academic projects and projects to their CV, the understanding is that these are something this is something you did within the fines of academic. You had a supervisor and somebody guiding you and walking you through and all that. All right, how about something you built on yourself without no supervision at all, and you're able to see to finish? You even have more confidence talking to those kinds of projects than projects that you're guided in. Of course, I don't want to, I see the moderator's hand is up already, and I think my responses is getting quite long. But again, like them to, in summary, is that look into what you love doing.
I just want to add. I just want to add to your point, sir.
Okay. I thought that was.
So me as a case study,
yes,
I'm a data analyst trainer, so I train people. So I'm now trying to divert to industry, to work for an industry. I don't want to teach again. I don't want to train people again. So I started my projects. So, but during this mentorship program, I learned about projects, how to build project portfolio. So I make use of this Marvin portfolio building site. So I uploaded all the dashboard that I built before. I uploaded them there, and then I wrote something very great to, to modify everything to make it look nice. So I used to post a lot of my projects, even people that I'm training, I used to post them on LinkedIn. So when I was now trying to look for a job in an industry, I don't want to train anymore. So I started posting that I'm in need of job. I'm in need of job. Every day I was posting it on LinkedIn. I'm looking for a job. I have these skills. So someone posted a data analyst role, like an operation analyst internship role on LinkedIn. I didn't even notice. So it was someone that now sent it to me that, Lassis, you need to apply for this. I think you need a job. And I said, thank you very much. I quickly applied. So I sent my CV. The person I sent my CV to, immediately I attached my portfolio to it. So that for the person to know that, no, you have something that can speak for you and in practical aspects. So they called me for interview. So during the interview, I was just talking about Power BI, SQL, Excel, how I can actually. So when they now said, okay, we can see that you are very good in it. And do you have any question for us? I was not like, yes, I have a question. What is the challenges or the problem that the industry is facing that is making them to look for an operation analyst. They now told him that it's data cleaning. You understand? So from there, you already know that, okay, as you are going into this industry, you already know that this is what you are going to focus. I think that helps, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. You've just very well summarized some of the things I've. So you have to be intentional. We shouldn't leave our career to chance. A lot of us, maybe we finish school or we finish a boot camp, we just start applying. We need to put in some, before maybe 10 years ago, just finishing having a data analyst certificate and applying for jobs will get you a job. Now, because there are so many competition, especially at junior level, when you start getting to mid-level and senior level, jobs start coming for you. But at junior level, there are a lot of competition at that stage. So you have to be intentional and you have to be purposeful. All right. You have to apply different strategies and tactics to get that job. All right. There are some people I know today, you're applying for a job in an industry. They buy LinkedIn Premium. All right. And they start sending emails, all right, to recruiters, all right. They talk about themselves, what they can do, the value they bring on board, and their skills and project that they have built, all right. All of that will come after you've built your project. They send all of this, that cold emailing, and they've seen success in it. So what if you don't take anything away from today's meeting or today's session? One thing you should take away is that just finishing a boot camp or a course and to start applying immediately and think that, oh, you're going to get it. Maybe one or two, maybe some people can get away with, but it's not going to work for a lot of people because there's so much competition. You have to stand out. And what are those things that will make you stand out? Are the things we listed: the portfolio, your projects, and the intentionality and the drive you have. The solutions. Who says you cannot research an industry you want to get into or a company? I know some guys that will look for, oh, I want to work for DHL, for example. What are the data problems that the logistics industry is facing today? How do I solve it? They put together a small summary or a small project, build it, and send it to the recruiter to say, I analyze a project that your team is currently have. This is my solution to it. All right. If you do that for 5, 6 different companies, you start to get responses. You are doing something that is out of the ordinary. Even if they don't get to employ you, that is something you can now put in your portfolio, your project, to say, analyze a project, a logistics or a real estate problem. For example, you want to get a job as maybe in UK, for example. Who says you cannot look at all the real estate listing, look at how prices of houses have grown in the past to the current, or what neighborhoods should have the highest housing, and so on and so forth, and build a dashboard to say, this is how the real estate land this thing is looking at. If you put a lot of thought into that project, you build it and you post it on LinkedIn or on Twitter, trust me, all right, you see people start coming after you. Or even if they don't, you take those projects and send it to recruiters to say, I mean, I have this knowledge and this is what I've done. All right. They look at you to say, oh, if you can, if you can solve a real estate, you build together a map or a visualization of real estate problems and solutions using data, that is something that will open a lot of doors for you. Thank you. Mr. Moderator, very good.
Thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate you. And you have really done justice to this training. And I believe we have all learned a lot today. So I want us to use an icon to top up for our Oga at the top to show appreciation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So at this junction, sir, thank you so much. Really appreciate. So you can fill the form. We have sent the quiz and the evaluation form. Kindly fill it. Thank you all for coming. Have a wonderful day. Good night.